This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Teaching. Over here with the technical side of connecting StreamYard into this Facebook group had us wondering if we were live or not, and it's a good thing we wondered because we were not, but we are now. So glad to be with y'all today, and we're going to be talking about something new that we have been doing with many of our clients and seeing some great success with that. So Haley, why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Google Local Services ads. This is a newer service that we have been testing for quite a few months now, but we just opened it up as a full-fledged service. If you know about Google Local Services ads, you may have also heard about Google Guaranteed ads, but they are now open to auto repair shops across the US. So that has taken over our industry lately and how we've gotten into it.
Yeah, so we used to do Google guarantee ads back in the day. Many of you know that we used to be Five Stones Media. If you're a client of ours, you still know it's Five Stones Media because that's what your billing says a lot of times. But we would run these local service ads for some home services companies, and we saw some great results for them then, but they weren't available to auto repair unless you were in, I think, California and Florida. Mm-hmm. And even then, I don't know that it was statewide. It was just some select areas of California and Florida. So it was something that it never, it was not really big until, what's it been, 3 months or so now, 2 months, where they released it to countrywide for the US?
I think it technically opened up like sometime in Q4 last year, but it really started gaining traction. Like I would say like end of December, early January is when we were like, all right, let's jump in and test this. It's taken over.
Yeah. And before we forget to talk about it, since we're talking about like where it was available and all that, where it's not, there's a tire shop, like a tire shop specific local service ads that are still only available in California and Florida.
Yeah, so local service ads works by category. So the two categories that apply to our industry are the auto repair shop category, which is what we were talking about, is now available across the US to all states. But the tire shop category is also one that would apply in our industry. But currently that is just available in California and Florida still. But I would expect that it would follow suit soon, just like auto repair opened up to all states. We've been eyeing the tire shop category to see when it will open up as well.
And LSA is still not available to our neighbors up in Canada.
Correct.
Yeah,
yep.
So we're waiting on that because we've got some clients that we work with in Canada. So sorry if you're in Canada, it's not available yet. But let's get into the details of what this is. You already talked about how it's category based, so it's different from your regular Google ads when it comes to that. But the big difference is that it's pay per lead rather than pay per click.
Yeah. So we'll start with the category. So we said it's category based. Under each category, you can only advertise for certain services or job types, as LSA calls them. And you can either toggle those job types on to advertise for them or toggle those job types off to tell Google you don't want to advertise for them. You can't input keywords. LSA is not keyword based like normal Google ads. So you're pretty limited in the types of services that you can advertise for. But the services that fall under the auto repair shop category are typical services that most auto repair shops are going to want to go after. So those include brake repair, electric system repair, exhaust system repair. That one is kind of hit or miss with shops, I feel. Transmission repair, car maintenance kind of falls under all preventative maintenance, and then engine repair. Those are the job types that our shops have the option to advertise for under the auto repair category. But like you said, the big difference, besides not being keyword based, is that LSA is cost per lead. So you're not being charged every time someone clicks on your ad. You're being charged every time you get a phone call or a message lead from your local service ad. We typically turn message leads off for a few reasons. They're higher cost per lead. So if you don't have a large enough budget, it will significantly spend your budget and drive it up. And also, too, you really have to be diligent about using the LSA dashboard and replying to those message leads. Most shops want to drive phone calls for that more personal interaction anyway. So you're paying every time you get a lead through a phone call, typically.
So there's most of our clients are going to get those leads through a regular phone call, just like any other lead that would come in. But the other two ways that they could receive that lead would be a message through the local service ads dashboard, or, well, and not yet, but my understanding is that they will be using the proprietary appointment systems like AutoOps once they have those set up and integrated with the dashboard. Because this dashboard, it's like a central part of local service ads where you can go in and you can say, yes, this was a lead, this was not a lead. And I want you to talk about that some, where you can go in and you can mark that like this wasn't a lead, and Google will not charge you for that. So talk about that some.
Yeah, so a lot of people, I've been hearing a lot of feedback from clients when they're deciding whether to do this or not, whether this is just a set it and forget it type of thing. And we hear that a lot with Google Ads, I feel. And we know that even with normal Google Ads, it's not a set it and forget it type of thing. It does require ongoing maintenance, even if you have very high performing ads. And the same thing with local services ads. It does require call listening and rating is what we call it. So in the local service ads dashboard, you have the option to rate your leads. And your rating is how you determine if you want to dispute a charge or a lead with Google or not. So when you listen to a phone call, if the phone call is qualified and it's a good call for a service you offer, a customer that wants to book an appointment, you can rate that you are very satisfied with that call. And then you can even go as far as marking it as a booked appointment. You would be charged for that lead. If Google charges you for a lead that you would consider unqualified, it could either be a wrong call for a different business or a call for a service you don't offer. You would rate that lead that you are very dissatisfied with that call. And then you have the option to tell Google why you're dissatisfied with that call. You can say it's for a service that I don't offer, or it was a call for the wrong place. And marking it as very dissatisfied is your way of disputing the call with Google. If Google agrees with your dispute, they will charge or credit your account back for that lead. So aside from getting the credit back for your disputed calls, by rating this call, you're also telling Google and their local service AI bots that you want to optimize for more of this type of call you're very satisfied with, or you want to optimize those dissatisfied calls out. So it's another way of, one, like I said, getting your charge, your credit back, but also optimizing for the types of calls you want and don't want.
So we've got some people that are saying hi in the comments. If you got any questions or anything in the comments, or if you got any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll answer those to the best of our abilities. But when these LSA when it was first made available to automotive, we had a few clients that we kind of beta tested it with. Mm-hmm. One of those was Chris Cotton. a lot of y'all may know Chris as a coach in the industry, but he also owns a shop in Durango, Colorado. And Chris has, like, he's been a huge advocate of these things since we turned them on because they work incredibly well. We're seeing really low lead costs. What was the last lead cost we saw for Chris? Like $7?
$7.
Yeah, so like $7 for a lead to his shop. That people will pay that all day long. I'd be begging to get leads for $7. Now that, I wouldn't say that is the norm. What are you seeing kind of on average for lead cost?
So we've been tracking this for the last few months that we've been testing and running these for clients. And we're seeing our average lead cost actually for this week, I just calculated it, is $27 on average.
Yeah. So even that is
an
incredibly good price on a lead. And one of the things that Chris has talked about a few times with me is the actual clients that they're seeing come in for this. Now, I want you to remember, he's in Durango, Colorado. He's in a very touristy area, but many of the vehicles that they're seeing come in for this are higher ARO, like it's a breakdown or something that someone who's traveling through the area is needing to get taken care of. But it makes sense when you look at how these things work. When somebody searches, this comes up top of page.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is above. It's above definitely above organic listings, above the regular search ads, even above the map.
Yeah.
And it's got the green check mark on it. They stand out. They look different than everything else that's on Google. So it's got the green check mark. It's got your star rating, and that's visualized with the actual stars. And it says either Google screened or Google guaranteed. Tell us the difference there between Google screened and Google guaranteed, because it used to be just Google guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing the Google screen, and it's like, well, what is that about? But then you just, were telling me about that the other day.
Yeah. So all of our clients that are doing LSA ads right now are Google screened. So the difference between guaranteed and screened is, for the guaranteed program, it's a more extensive application process. In some cases, I think you even have to pay to apply and go through the process. But what guaranteed means is that if a lead comes to your shop from your Google guaranteed ad and is unsatisfied with the work done, they can dispute that with Google, and Google, up to their discretion, can credit that lead or give that lead money back up to $2,000 in the US. Google screened does not reimburse clients for any work that they're unsatisfied with. So that's the big difference between them. And I actually have some helpful links to read more about each program that I will drop in the comments.
So with the Google screened and Google guaranteed, Google is essentially, they're kind of backing your name with their name and saying, we trust this shop. This is a good shop to go get your vehicle repaired at. But they are vetting the shops before they're allowing them to become part of this program. So it's not just a matter of going in and turning on these ads. You as a shop owner, there's a process to go through that includes background checks, insurance, making sure that you have the insurances that are needed, and all. What all does the shop owner have to do for this?
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk about the most, because I feel like this is what I've learned, like the typical hangups that we're seeing. Because some shops I've seen verified in 1 to 2 weeks, and some shops it's taken a month plus to get verified. So when it comes to local services ads for auto repair shops, there are a few verification steps. The first is that the owner of the business has to go through a background check. So when it comes, the second is that you have to provide a copy of your certificate of liability, your insurance paperwork. The number one hangup that I've seen as far as insurance goes is that people don't have garage keepers liability on their insurance paperwork. So if you are going to apply for LSA verification, it's important to make sure you have garage keepers liability. And then the next requirement is a business license. In certain cases, you just need to submit your business license number. In other cases, you may have to upload an actual business license document. That's another hang up that we've been seeing a lot lately is the business license being provided to Google during the verification process isn't matching what Google is seeing on their end. So trying to work with LSA support to sort that out and ensure that we have the correct business license numbers. It should be your motor vehicle business license number, or in some cases, it's called like your state auto body repair shop license number. I've seen it called in some states. But basically, it should be your business license that is issued by your Secretary of State. And then the other thing that you need to have for verification is a minimum of one review on your Google business profile. Let's see, what other hangups have I seen though? A lot of clients I've seen working as DBAs like us, we're Five Stones Media, DBA Shop Marketing Pros. If you are working under a DBA, you want to also ensure that you have your DBA paperwork, and it's best and quickest for verification if the business name listed on your license matches the business name listed on your insurance documentation as well, to keep it consistent for Google.
So we talked about how the LSA is category based and not keyword based.
Mm-hmm.
And that has made it challenging when it comes to specialty shops.
Yes.
You have the shops that are diesel only or Euro only, and we don't have any way really to tell LSA that those are the only types of clients that they want. And we've got, I can think of one diesel shop for sure that we're running LSA for, but they're happy to work on those gas powered vehicles also. So, they're not like specifically we work on diesel trucks and nothing else. So it's been great for them because they're happy to have that type of work. But what has been the experience with the shops where it's like, all I want is Euro or all I want is diesel or whatever their specialty would be?
Yeah, so currently I am still unsure if LSA is the correct way to go for a specialty only shop. You have one specialty, you're Euro only or you're diesel only, you're not general auto repair, or maybe you only work on specific types of vehicles. There's no way to negate those calls out with negative keywords or anything like that. So chances are, we have one shop, they only work on Asian vehicles. If we were to run LSA for them, there's no way to tell LSA, we don't want any Chevy calls. We don't want any BMW calls. So in that case, if you are a super specialized shop, I do think that Google ads, normal Google campaign or search ads is still the way to go, because you can control those calls and those leads better with highly optimized search keywords and negative keywords. But in a case like our diesel shop, who is happy to work on gas cars as well, we have their LSA targeting those more general repair and maintenance gas vehicles. And then we have their Google search ads focused all on diesel. No general work being advertised in their Google ads at all, just purely diesel. And the same, we recently changed over for Chris Cotton, you know, because he is in Colorado. He is not in a state where he can advertise for tires, but tires is a big part of his business. So when we transitioned to LSA, we did some restructuring of his Google ads to add more long tail keywords. So they weren't overlapping as much with his LSA, but we also just recently made the change to make his Google ads very heavy tire based, advertising for things that we cannot advertise on for LSA.
So probably the biggest opportunity, at least in my mind right now, is that there's not a ton of shops that are doing LSA yet. There's a lot of talk, and especially in our world because we're in marketing. But even like when I'm looking in the industry Facebook groups and everything, I don't see a lot of discussion about LSA. So there's a huge opportunity for the shops that are wanting to do this now. Because as more and more shops, like when this becomes the norm, when it becomes as normal for shops to do as just Google ads in general are, then the results are not going to be what they are now. The prices are going to go up. Like the lead price is going to go up. There's not going to be as many leads for your shop because they're going to get spread out over all the shops in your town that are running LSA. So, I mean, I see this as a huge opportunity for shops. You know, even like Google ads can be hit or miss. We're really, really good at running Google ads, and we still sometimes have clients that like we cannot get these things to perform the way that we want them to. But LSA has been pretty darn consistent about performing.
Yeah, that, and I think the biggest like thing that stands out to me is the price. Like you said, the cost of LSA, because it's brand new to the auto industry and not a lot of people have, again, there's a lot of chatter, but not a lot of people jumping on yet to start them. The cost per lead and the overall monthly budget to run LSA is significantly lower than we're seeing in the same areas where it would be higher for normal keyword based Google ads. So, you know, there might, I think, come a time where if you're considering doing Google advertising, you start with LSA and get that ROI up and then add on Google ads later. But there's also room for both, especially if you're a shop that, you know, maybe you are a specialty, but okay, taking in those more general shops, you can kind of stagger your ads, your Google ads and your LSA into different services that you want to advertise for. There's definitely room for both, where you can go into Google search ads, maybe with a lower budget than normal, because you're supplementing them with LSA ads.
So is there anything that we haven't touched on with this?
I think we also really need to talk about how your Google business profile plays into your LSA ads.
Yeah. So with this being category based, the Google business profile, the way it's optimized, can impact, and that's what we're looking at, like on these specialty shops, is can we get this thing optimized enough as far as the Google business profile for LSA to understand that, oh, this is just a Euro shop. Mm-hmm. And, when I say that we're seeing some challenges with it, it certainly doesn't mean that we're not out there trying to make these things perform for it, because anytime that we see something like this in the industry, it's like, this is like, we need to be at the forefront of this. Mm-hmm. And we need to figure out how do we make it work for these clients. But what we understand is that LSA will look at the Google business profile, the way it's optimized, the services that are there, mm-hmm. Even possibly the reviews. As most of you probably know already, Google is really a big AI-driven machine. And if that artificial intelligence can look at the Google business profile and make a determination that, yeah, this is a shop that only works on this stuff, so we're only going to show their LSA ads when somebody is searching for that type of work, then maybe that is how we make it work. I mean, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's important also, like if you're not even if you're not a specialty shop, your Google business profile does play in a factor in ranking your LSA ads amongst competition in your area. Say that there is competition in the auto repair shop space doing LSA ads in your area. Having an optimized Google business profile will reward your LSA ads more. So better reviews than your competition. Having services and descriptions for the types of services you want, because one of the job categories that does, or job types that does fall under the auto repair shop category is other. And that's up to Google interpretation. But what Google is going to do is they're going to crawl your Google business profile and try to optimize for that other category based on your services and descriptions and your reviews in your Google business profile. So another thing I really want you to touch on, Brian, because I know you've written a blog on this, is how to get customers to use keywords in their reviews, and also replying to reviews using specific keywords.
Yeah, I mean, reviews are a huge, piece of SEO, and a lot of people think, well, if I just have the most reviews, then that's going to make me rank the best, or the best reviews, and like the 5-star reviews, and that's not really true. But one of the things that was eye-opening for me years ago was myself and Kim and Peyton. We were in Key West on vacation. And we had been there like 5 years before. And there was a place that we had gone that 5 years before that it had this incredible like courtyard area that had a canopy of trees over it. And it was just a great way to escape the heat. And we're in Key West a few years ago, and it's like August when we're there, and we're riding our bikes around, and it was just hot. And Kim and I stopped and we're like, man, what was the name of that place? And we couldn't remember for our life what it was. And I just went to Google and searched for restaurant with courtyard with canopy of trees over it or something to that effect. And all of a sudden, the first thing that pops up is Blue Heaven in Key West. And it was because that information was in their reviews where people had talked about the courtyard and the canopy of trees. And then the very next day, look, we're creatures of habit, okay? We find a place that we like, we tend to go back to it. The next day, we're looking for another restaurant that we had been to where they had a second floor, balcony that overlooked was it Duval Street or whatever in Key West. And I went and did a search for a restaurant with second floor balcony, and that restaurant came up. I can't remember the name of that one, but it showed me just how important it is, the information that's actually in your reviews. So when you have people that are leaving reviews, if you can ask them to leave information like the type of work that you did for them, the type of vehicle that they have, things that that would kind of notate where they're located. So if you've got a person that leaves a review and they go click 5 stars and their entire review is something like, they did a great job as always. Or you have another person that leaves a review and they say, I was looking for someone to do a transmission service on my 2015 Ford Explorer, and was looking for a shop that was close to Oak Knoll subdivision. Or like when they're adding those keywords in there about what you did, what type of vehicle it was, and where they live, then that is going to help you get found. And it's definitely going to help LSA to understand more about your shops, and what you do and the type of work that you're looking to get in there.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to mention about ongoing maintenance, aside from call listening, is that's literally Google calling me right now. The other thing that I want to mention is that optimizing your photos in your LSA. So when you are setting up your LSA ad on the back end in your dashboard, you have your profile and budget section, you have the job types you want to advertise for, you have the locations that you want to target. you also have a photos section. Sometimes it will pull photos from your Google business profile, but sometimes it won't. And it's up to you to add new photos. I would suggest if you're running LSA on your own, aim to add 4 to 5 new photos every month. But one thing that will trigger a policy violation we've found in photos is if you have your phone number in the photos. So say you have a really nice picture of the front of your shop, but you have your phone number in your signage, that could trigger a policy violation if that photo is included in LSA. So just be wary of that. That's really the most common policy violation that I've come across so far. But just when you're uploading new photos, it's always best to change out your photos and keep them up to date. Aim for updating new photos maybe every quarter, adding 4 to 5 every month, and watch out for those phone numbers in the photos too, because those could also trigger that policy violation.
Yep. So we never sell anything in this group. Like this group has been around for a few years now, and I can tell you that we've never once sold anything in here. But today, I mean, I'm going to tell you about the pricing and everything that we're charging to handle LSA for shops, because we don't have, Haley, do we have anyone that this is not performing for?
No, not so far.
I mean, it's just working. And you can't say that about every type of marketing, but as of right now, and somebody will be the first. I know it'll happen, but right now, they're all working, and they're working really well, and the lead cost is inexpensive. So I'm going to tell you about the pricing and everything for it. If you are an existing client and we are running let me start. If we are not doing Google ads for you currently, then what we charge to do LSA is $999 a month. And that includes us helping you with going through the process of getting everything set up and the vetting and all of that. It includes us doing optimizations to your Google business profile and us going in and listening to calls and rating calls and all of these things. So it is a true management of that. And then we require $1,000 a month budget. But Haley, are most of the clients spending that $1,000 budget?
Most clients aren't spending the full $1,000 yet. We've also seen, when we were testing this originally, we didn't really know what the entry budget looked like. And so we just asked for a $500 budget from our guinea pig clients. And we even saw good performance with as little as $500 a month.
Yeah. So, it's a $999 investment for us to manage your local service ads. And then you need that $1,000 a month budget, but you're probably not going to spend all $1,000 of that. And the way that we do that is we have your card or your bank connected to Google. So they're billing you directly. If it only spends $700, then you only are out $700. And that's a bad way to put it, because you gained a lot of clients, so you're not out anything. And then if you are an existing client and you are doing Google ads and we're adding on LSA, then it's an additional $799 instead of $999. So $200 discount for doing that if you're already doing Google ads with us. Same budget is required. We have seen some where LSA does pull some of the same people that your Google ads would have pulled, but it's doing it cheaper. Mm-hmm. So you could expect that if you're doing Google ads and we add on LSA, you're going to get better overall performance, but you could see a drop in the regular Google ads because LSA is picking up some of those leads. But it's still something that is well worth doing. Especially LSA, it's just performing so well. So if anybody's got any questions, or if you want to have us do LSA for you, then if you're already a client, just reach out to your customer success manager. If not, you can go to our website, and up at the top right is the schedule a discovery call button, and you can schedule a discovery call and if you've watched this thing, you know pretty much everything that there is to know about it. But you can schedule a discovery call, and we can get you all set up with that.
Yep. And I will say too, when you schedule a discovery call, we will also look into any competition in your area that may be doing LSA. So far, we've found very few in all the people's areas that we've talked to, but we'll also do a full budget assessment and suggestion based on your area as well.
Yeah. So no questions in the comments? I don't see any. But yeah, if you've got any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us. Haley, anything else at all that we need to add to it?
I think that was it. That pretty much covers it.
Yep. This is, every once in a while you have that next big thing in marketing. Like I say, LSA is not new, but it is new to auto repair unless you were in specific parts of California or Florida. And the earlier that you get in on it, the better it's going to be. So hope that y'all will take advantage of that. And yes, it is something that you can do on your own. You can certainly run LSA on your own, but it does require the time and the dedication to it to make sure that it is done right. Yeah, I'm glad that y'all were with us today. You can continue to add questions even after the fact into the comments. We will see them and we'll answer them again to the best of our knowledge. But I hope that y'all have an awesome day. And we'll be doing Haley and I are going to record a podcast on this tomorrow also. So if you listen this long, I guess it's too late. But if you like podcasts better, you'll be able to listen to it that way. But it'll be a few weeks before that comes out. So anyway, y'all have an awesome day.